is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, first, in Europe, 2 wrongful prisoner releases rock the United Kingdom, sparking a growing scandal and putting Justice Secretary David Lammy under fire. Turning to Russia, President Vladimir Putin declares the West has failed to divide the country, accusing Western powers of waging an information war. In South America, Brazil's President Lula da Silva slams the U.S. military presence in the Caribbean and Pacific, vowing to raise the issue at next week's CELAC summit in Belém. Back in the Philippines, President Marcos Jr. urges government workers to keep Christmas celebration simple as the Department of Information and Communications Technology promises tighter online security this holiday season. Meanwhile, in the Visayas, the death toll from Typhoon Kalmaegi, or locally known as Typhoon Tino, climbs past 100, with more than 100 others still missing in quake-hit areas. And royal updates, King Charles knights football legend David Beckham. I'm Franco Baranda. Newsline World starts now. Philippine authorities say the death toll from Typhoon Kalmaegi, locally known as Typhoon Tino, has climbed to over 100, with also more than 100 people still missing. Many victims were from areas still struggling to recover from a recent earthquake. Disaster officials say that Typhoon Kalmaegi caused widespread flooding and destruction across the central Philippines, with the province of Cebu suffering the heaviest losses. According to the Office of Civil Defense, the storm triggered floods and caused rivers and waterways to overflow, sweeping away homes and isolating several communities. According to the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, most of the fatalities were in Cebu, where rescuers continued to search for the 127 people still missing. The province of Cebu bore the brunt of the storm, reporting 71 deaths, 65 missing, and 69 injured. Heavy casualties were also reported with 18 dead and 7 injured, and in Negros Oriental, where 12 were killed. Other affected provinces including Agusan del Sur, Southern Leyte, Bohol, Antique, Capiz, Iloilo, and Leyte, each confirming additional fatalities. Nationwide, the death toll now stands at 114, with 127 still missing and 82 injured. The typhoon exited the Philippine area of responsibility early Thursday at around 12:30 a.m., but authorities warned that rains persist over parts of the Visayas and Palawan. Philippine Weather Bureau Pag-asa said number 1 remains in effect over the Kalayaan Islands in Palawan. Local government emergency teams are racing to deliver aid to survivors, with many communities still reeling from the double blow of the earthquake and typhoon.
ligtas, maging handa. Narito ang ilang paalala kung sakaling tumama ang lindol. Maghanda ng emergency kits na may lamang flashlight, pito, first aid kit, tubig at pagkain. Alamin ang emergency exits sa inyong bahay, paaralan o opisina. Habang lumilindol, magtago sa ilalim ng matibay na lamesa upang maprotektahan ang sarili sa mga nahuhulog na bagay. Lumayo sa mga bintana at mabibigat na gamit na maaaring mahulog. Kung ikaw ay nasa labas, lumayo sa mga gusali, puno o poste na maaaring matumba. Kung ikaw ay nagmamaneho, itabi at ihinto ang sasakyan at lumabas. Pagkatapos ng lindol, gamitin ang hagdan sa paglabas ng gusali at huwag gumamit ng elevator. Maging alerto sa aftershocks at manatili sa open space kung kinakailangan. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa anumang sakuna. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content. Hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen. Magbasa. Makipagkwentuhan. Magdasal. Maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
A day after Typhoon Tino battered the province of Cebu, the extent of the damage it left in the area is now becoming clear. Charmaine Balagon give us the updates.
Amid efforts to recover from the recent earthquake that shook the province, another disaster has struck the Cebuanos. Not only homes, but also livelihoods have been severely affected by the typhoon. This is what Consolacion Public Market looks like now after the severe flooding, where the water rose to almost above head level. The once bustling marketplace is now silent, with vendors busy cleaning their respective stalls. Thick mud, scattered trash, and unsalvageable goods greeted the SMNI News team upon arrival. As they clean up, vendors still hope to recover at least some of their remaining products. Among those heavily affected are Manong Jamal Osman and his wife, gov't vendors, who are now struggling to find new capital to start over.
Ana madam, moto ko dili hapit na mag 300. 275,000.
Pang December.
Tanaw gamay kayo, tanaw akong ista. Dagan kayo.
Damit na
Oh, ang
According to them, they had already made sure their goods were safe even before the typhoon hit, but they never expected the flood waters to rise that high.
problema ma'am. Sumubra yung tubig.
natumba.
For the owner of a Bukay rice retailer who refused to appear on camera, they said they've experienced several typhoons before, but this was the first time that nearly all their rice stocks were destroyed after being soaked in flood water. A total of 240 sacks of rice had started to spoil and could no longer be sold. It's estimated that more than 500,000 pesos worth of capital, money they have saved up for years, vanished just like that. This means, yet again, small local business owners are suffering heavy losses from same devastating situation. Meanwhile, Mang Richard of Mangkao Rice Store was a bit more fortunate. He decided to postpone his rice delivery from the supplier upon hearing reports of the approaching storm. Although he had prepared by rising his rice storage area on wooden pallets, some of his goods still got damaged when the flood waters rose.
Maintira.
Okay, wala sa mga pasulog ng gas.
Pero lost na gid na siya. Alkansi jud ka na.
Lost na din sa kada ba at least naka-prepared sa mga pita ba. Kailangan po itarin mo.
For Mrs. Risa Paloma, her store is said to be back to square one after she found all her rice stocks soaked and nothing salvaged. The estimated damage amounts to 300,000 pesos.
Ninyo na kuha ninyo mga nasite, yung mga paninda.
Oo, wala kay naanda na mo kay ang tubig di kay nga to kadako. Naada lagi sa ubos.
Ang asa ko to ba ang tubig, mami?
Mga tagaliog.
So, ano yung nabili sa inyong stock?
Kanang wala. Balikuno gid na.
According to the vendors, this is the first time the entire Consolacion Public Market has been submerged in flood waters. Over 800 vendors are now affected due to the temporary suspension of market operations to allow ongoing clearing efforts. The municipality of Consolacion is among the areas most severely hit by Typhoon Tino after the creek in Barangay Laray, Consolacion overflowed, causing the sudden rise in flood waters. The national highway in Consolacion has also reopened, which yesterday was still impassable due to the high water levels. Although vehicles now pass through, traffic is still slow because clearing operations are ongoing. This is just a glimpse of the damage caused by the Typhoon Tino and does not yet include the thousands of home, vehicle, and other properties destroyed by the storm. Meanwhile, the entire province of Cebu is now under a state of calamity and the number of casualties continues to rise. According to the latest report for the PDRRMO at 5 p.m. yesterday, 111 people have died and 8 others are still missing. Reporting, this has been Charmaine Balagon. Back to the studio.
A total of 56 flights were canceled on Wednesday due to bad weather brought by Typhoon Tino, according to the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP. Meanwhile, Cebu Pacific's operations are gradually returning to normal after flight schedules across various parts of the country were disrupted by the typhoon. The airline, however, advised that some flight may still occur as the storm continues to exit the Philippine area of responsibility. Carla de la Peña reports.
In a flight advisory released by the CAAP Operations Center Division, the agency reported that 56 flights were canceled on Wednesday, with no flight diversions recorded. According to the report, AirSwift had the most cancellations with 22 flights, mostly to and from El Nido and Busuanga. This was followed by SebGo with 18 canceled flights, Philippine Airlines with 10, and Sunlight Air with 6. Meanwhile, no flight cancellations were reported for Cebu Pacific, PAL Express, Air Asia Philippines, Tuay Air, and KLM. Most of the affected routes were tourist destinations in Palawan, such as Busuanga and El Nido, as well as some domestic routes from Manila, Clark, Cebu, and Bohol. GAAP continues to monitor the weather and airport conditions nationwide to ensure passenger safety. Travelers are advised to coordinate with their respective airlines for rebooking or refund arrangements. Meanwhile, in its latest advisory issued at 11 a.m. on November 5, Cebu Pacific reported that weather conditions have improved and that its aircraft and flight crews have returned to their respective bases. However, the airline reminded the public not to proceed to the airport unless their flight has been confirmed. Passengers were also advised to regularly check the status of their flights through the airline's website or mobile app, and to update their contact details in the managed booking portal to receive SMS or email alerts. To assist affected passengers, Cebu Pacific offered flexible options such as free rebooking or conversion to travel fund for flights to and from areas affected by the typhoon. These include Bacolod, Caticlan, Cebu, Iloilo, Calibo, and San Jose for flights on November 5, and Coron, El Nido, Puerto Princesa, and San Vicente for flights on November 5 and 6. Passengers may manage their travel options online up to 2 hours before their scheduled departure time. The airline added that the complete list of canceled flights is available on Cebu Pacific's official website and social media pages. For further assistance, passengers may contact the airline through its online chat support or verified social media accounts. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has called on Philippine government officials and employees to keep their Christmas celebration simple as a show of solidarity with the thousands of Filipino affected by recent calamities. Meanwhile, the Department of Information and Communications Technology assured the public of a safer holiday season amid the rising cases of online scams. Prince Tripoli has the news.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. reminded all government agencies nationwide to keep this Christmas and year-end celebrations simple yet meaningful. In a press briefing at Malacanang on Wednesday, Palace Press Officer and Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary Claire Castro said the directive was made in consideration of families still recovering from the series of calamities that hit the country. These include the recent earthquakes in the Visayas and Mindanao, as well as typhoons that struck various parts of the Philippines.
Kasunod ng mga sakuna sa bansa, paalala ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. at ng DBM sa ahensya ng pamahalaan, gawing simple ang pagdiriwang ng holiday season. Paalala sa mga kawani ng gobyerno, mahalaga ang pagdiriwang ng Pasko na may pag-aalala sa kapwa nating patuloy na bumabangon at nagsisimulang muli mula sa maraming kalamidad na tumama sa bansa.
Meanwhile, the Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT has announced the implementation of a Plan Paskong Sigurado to ensure the public's protection against online scams this Christmas season. The agency is coordinating with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas o BSP banks and law enforcement groups for the initiative.
Inutos po ng Presidente sa akin at sa DICT, itong Pasko na to, walang Pilipinong may scam. So tuloy-tuloy po yan at we're making sure we're working with BSP, with the banks, with the law enforcers. Matiwasay po dapat ang Pasko natin, so tuloy-tuloy lang po kayong e-commerce, e-transaction.
The DICT also clarified that no data breach occurred in any e-wallet services.
Alleged corruption in flood control projects, the Murang Kuryente party list emphasized that it is time for the government to provide tax relief to Filipinos who continue to struggle with rising electricity cost. According to Murang Kuryente party list representative Arthur Yap, it is time to abolish the 12% value-added tax imposed on electricity to help ease the burden currently faced by consumers. Unlike other expenses, he noted, electricity bills are something that people simply cannot avoid.
Sa generation, may 12% ka na. Pag pinasa yun sa transmission, uupakan ka na naman ng 12%. Pag umabot sa distribution, titirahin ka na naman ng 12%. So 3 beses kang gigisain. Aminin po natin, sa lahat po ng gastusin ng ng mga kababayan natin, ang hindi niya pwedeng takbuhan, yung tubig at kuryente. Pare, pag gutom ka, pwede mong sabihin, I will eat less. Sabihin mong, nakuhaan yung budget ko, mag-instant noodle muna ako. But pag sinabing kuryente, nag-uunahan pa tayong magbayad dahil takot na takot tayong maputulan ng kuryente. Importante muna, yung taong bayan, naghihikahos ngayon, kailangan ng tulong. Kaya nga nag-file ako ng bill na kung pwede, yung VAT muna. Kung pwede, let us leave first the VAT.
He also stated that the projected 300 billion loss in tax collection should a 12% VAT be removed would not significantly impact the government's overall revenue.
Eh di wag mong utangin. Ay 300 billion against sa 28 trillion GDP economy will be hit. Are you telling me, Marichu, that the 300 billion lessening of expenses, our house is on fire? Our house is, we are in trouble, and then gastos pa rin tayo ng gastos. Let us tighten the belt. If anything has shown in the last few years, we have shown an irresponsibility in how we spend our money. Why don't we tighten our belts for 300 billion? Wag mong utangin. Wag kang umutang. Ano yung sinasabi? Babawas ng koleksyon ng 300, kailangan utangin. Wag mong utangin. I-focus mo yung expenditures. Ayusin mo ng mabuti yung implementation.
And if the government is still not ready to remove the tax entirely, he suggested reducing the budget for cash aid programs and instead allocating it as a subsidy for consumers who use between 200 to 300 kilowatt hours per month.
Yung pinaka-basic na Pilipino, gumagamit yun ng 2 to 300 kilowatt hour. Eh di ba't hindi natin i-target yung subsidy doon? Idiretso natin yung pera. Diretso ko sa Meralco, diretso ko sa mga electric co-op, doon sa mga taong yon. Kahit nabigyan mo na lang sila ng kahit na 1,000 pesos per month lang na ayuda, na tulong. Hindi ka pa pumipili. Di ba? Ang complaint ng taong bayan doon sa mga interactions ko sa social media, nasan yung tulong? Eh, paggalit ng kapitan sa'yo, wala ka na. O pagkalabang ka ni Mayor, wala ka na rin. Kaya, ang taong bayan, ang sinasabi nila, mamimigay ka ng ayuda, papipilahin mo pa kami. Imagine, ang 1,000 peso na subsidy na straight sa electric billing nila, that's 12,000 a year.
The proposal is also supported by private companies, such as Meralco.
Kasi kung titingnan niyo sa bills, I think yung VAT is implemented all throughout the supply chain. So pag tinanggal yon, we did a study in the past na maaaring bumaba ng as much as 1 peso per kilowatt hour.
Lalo na sa mga nangyayari ngayon, nakita natin yung pagwaldas ng pera, na bilyon-bilyon din, parang tapos ang mga tao natin naghihirap. Kailangan din nga magkaroon ng malasakit sa taong bayan. So, tingin naman, I think, sugang ko lang yung nasabi ni Kong Art, hindi naman mahirap yung Pilipinas eh. In fact, may resources naman. Siguro ang tanong na lang yung tamang paggamit.
It can be recalled that Senator Rodante Marcoleta had earlier proposed in the Senate the abolition of the 12% VAT on electricity. Meanwhile, some residents in Metro Manila have said that making electricity tax-free is better than money aid from the government.
Sana hindi lang sa kuryente tanggalin yan. Hindi lang dapat sa kuryente. Kasi sobra-sobra tayo sa mga taxes na yan. Hindi naman natin napapakinabangan mga Pilipino. Nabubulsa lang. Alam nyo naman yan. Lahat. Wala. Yung sistema ng taxation natin, hindi tulad sa ibang bansa, napapakinabangan. Pero, kung yung move na yan, move ni Marcoleta yan eh.
Pati ni Attorney Ani
Artia. Magandang yan, maganda yan. Makakatulong sa Pilipino, direct, hindi nakikinabang ang politiko, hindi nakikinabang ang kung sino lang.
Tax-free na lang, ma'am. Kasi ayuda, madali naman maubos yung ayudang binibigay eh. Sa tax-free, for life na yun.
Raymond admitted that his family has been cutting back on expenses due to the rising cost of electricity. He shared that their power rates have significantly increased from only 11 pesos per kilowatt hour before to 14 pesos per kilowatt hour, now making it one of their biggest household expenses.
Kasi dati kapag mababa, yung yung budget, na ano ko pa sa ibang pangangailangan. Sa ngayon, medyo nagtitipid na kasi nakalat na sa pagbabayad ng kuryente.
Hindi naman pwedeng walang kuryente, di ba po?
Yes po.
Sir, may proposed bill na may mga tinutulak na tanggalin yung VAT, yung 12% VAT sa electricity. Gaano makakatulong yan sa inyo?
Malaking tulong po yun. Malaki kasi kung matatanggal yun, mas maano ko yung budget namin kasi bilang isang minimum wage earner, malaking bagay po yun.
For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Margaret Gonzalez, SMNI News.
Up next in Europe, 2 wrongful prisoner releases rocked the United Kingdom, sparking a growing scandal and putting Justice Secretary David Lammy under fire. And in South America, Brazil's President Lula da Silva slams the U.S. military presence in the Caribbean and Pacific, vowing to raise the issue at next week's CELAC summit in Belém. More news when Newsline World returns.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon. Kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado. 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/4 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina, at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
In the United Kingdom, what started as a tense exchange in Parliament has escalated into a full-blown scandal with not one, but 2 new mistaken prisoner releases now confirmed. The revelations come just days after Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary David Lammy defended what he called the toughest checks ever in Britain's prison system. Sara Santos files this report.
The latest twist unfolded as manhunts were launched for two men wrongly released from London's Wandsworth prison, a 24-year-old Algerian national, Brahim Kadour Sherif, and 35-year-old William Smith. Police say Kadour Sherif, a registered sex offender, was mistakenly freed on the 29th of October, nearly a week before officials realized the error. Smith, convicted of multiple fraud offenses, was wrongly released just days later on the 3rd of November. Authorities say both men remain at large, with police describing efforts to track them down as urgent and ongoing. The latest incidents came to light shortly after Lamy's heated exchange in the House of Commons, where he was pressed 5 times by opposition Member of Parliament James Cartledge to confirm that no other asylum-seeking offenders had been mistakenly freed.
The public are extremely concerned about what happened in the Kabatu case. They want to know there won't be a repeat. He's the Justice Secretary. He's responsible for the justice system. Can he reassure the House that since Kabatu was released, no other asylum-seeking offender has been accidentally let out of prison? It's a clear question. Can he give an answer?
Lamy sidestepped the question multiple times, instead criticizing the previous Conservative government for leaving what he called a broken system.
Get a grip, man. I know I'm the Justice Secretary. That's why I'm at the dispatch box, also as Deputy Prime Minister. What we inherited was a complicated system that they set up, letting people out on the sly. That's part of the problem, and we're trying to fix it.
But reports later revealed Lamy had been briefed overnight about Kadour Sherif's release before that very exchange took place. In a written statement afterward, Lamy said he was outraged and appalled, promising an independent investigation led by former Metropolitan Police Deputy Commissioner Dame Lynn Owens to uncover what went wrong. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's office also condemned the incident as utterly unacceptable, vowing a forensic review of how the system failed. The UK prison system has been under growing pressure, with reports showing over 260 inmates released by mistake in the past year, more than double the previous total. Experts blame the surge on overcrowding and administrative strain inside British jails. The two new cases followed the recent mistaken release of Hadush Kebatu, an Ethiopian sex offender whose escape and deportation triggered public outrage. With 3 such incidents in just 2 weeks, questions are now mounting over whether Britain's prison checks are truly under control. Reporting, Sarah Santos, SMNI News.
British protesters gathered outside Parliament in London, accusing Prime Minister Keir Starmer of leading the UK into the ground and imposing policies that threaten civil liberties. Prince Tripoli will be back for more news.
Dozens of demonstrators waved national flags and carried signs rejecting mass immigration and the government's planned digital ID system. Anti-government demonstrators gathered in London on Wednesday ahead of bonfire night celebrations to voice anger at Prime Minister Keir Starmer's administration. Protesters were seen waving UK and English flags, holding placards reading "Wanted" for covering up crimes against our children and "No to Digital ID." One protester voiced its opposition against Starmer's plans, while another blamed mass immigration for the recent stabbing attack in Cambridgeshire.
Running the country into the ground since the Queen died and he got in. England is in a fast tsunami going nowhere.
You've only got to look at the state of the country. It's not safe, not only women and girls, for men to walk out on their own at the right time.
There are people coming into this country at an alarming rate, and they are causing and creating a massive problem in this country. They are, some of the most heinous crimes.
The rally follows the arrest of 2 British nationals, a 32-year-old black man and a 35-year-old man of Caribbean descent, in connection with a train stabbing that left 11 people injured. The protests also targeted the government's plan to introduce a digital ID system for workers starting 2029, a policy that the UK Prime Minister has defended as a measure to curb illegal migration. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent.
The Brazilian government has authorized the deployment of the armed forces to boost security in the city of Belém during the COP30 climate summit. the first ever to be held in the Amazon. Increased military presence is now visible across Belém following President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva's approval of police and military support from the 2nd to the 23rd of November. Authorities say the operation aims not only to protect visiting delegations but also to safeguard the right to peaceful protest, as environmental groups are expected to mobilize during the event. The security plan includes drone monitoring and neutralization near sensitive sites such as Parque da Cidade. Specialized systems will also secure the airspace over Belém, particularly during the Leaders Summit on November 6 and 7. COP30 will bring together global leaders, ministers, and climate experts to discuss urgent issues such as the climate crisis and the energy transition, a historic moment as the world's top climate summit takes place in the Amazon for the first time. Brazilian President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva on Tuesday denounced the U.S. military presence in the Caribbean and Pacific, saying he will raise the issue at the upcoming CELAC summit in Belém, where regional leaders will meet from the 9th to the 10th of November. Jane Cognita reports.
Speaking to reporters in Belém, President Lula said the United States should help countries in the region instead of resorting to force. He emphasized that political problems cannot be solved with weapons, but through dialogue, offering Brazil support in mediating regional tensions. Lula also confirmed he had discussed the issue with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and may travel to Santa Marta to coordinate a common South American stance.
Nós vamos tentar, na CELAC, discutir essa questão da Venezuela, discutir essa questão da participação das Forças Armadas Americanas nos mares do Caribe. Não é necessário, ou seja, a polícia tem todo o direito de fazer o combate, sabe, ao narcotráfico. Tem todo o direito e responsabilidade de fazer. E os americanos poderiam estar tentando ajudar esses países e não tentando ficar atirando contra esses países.
Lula further noted that after the COP30 summit, he plans to call U.S. President Donald Trump if ongoing tariff talks remain unresolved. The two leaders briefly met during the ASEAN summit in October, discussing trade and environmental cooperation. Lula expressed confidence that Trump will eventually embrace the global shift toward a green economy.
Presidente Trump me disse que eu não acredito em economia verde. Ele vai acreditar, porque em algum momento ele vai perceber que nós não temos muita alternativa.
The Brazilian leader stressed that Brazil seeks to maintain good relations with both Washington and Beijing, highlighting growing cooperation with China in technology and space sectors. With tensions rising over U.S. military activities near Latin America, Lula's remarks signaled Brazil's push for regional autonomy and dialogue-based diplomacy, just days before hosting world leaders for the COP30 summit in the Amazon. This has been Jane Cognita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
In the United States, Democrat Abigail Spanberger has clinched victory in Virginia's governor's race, marking a major win for her party in a pivotal battleground state. Abigail Spanberger of the Democrat Party won Virginia's gubernatorial race, defeating Republican Winsome Earl Sears. The call came just over an hour after polls closed, signaling a strong lead for Spanberger in the closely watched contest. With an estimated 95% of the vote in, Spanberger had 57.4%, while Earl Sears received 42.4%. Spanberger, 47, a former U.S. Congresswoman and Central Intelligence Agency or CIA officer, is the first woman to lead the state of Virginia. Spanberger's campaign heavily focuses on economic and affordability issues, public safety, and support for abortion rights. When we return, turning to Russia, President Vladimir Putin declares the West has failed to divide the country, accusing Western powers of waging an information war. And royal updates: King Charles knights football legend David Beckham. Stay tuned for more news. To help hog raisers bounce back, the Philippine Department of Agriculture sets a 210 peso per kilo floor price for local pork. But an industry group says rampant importation remains the root of the problem. More on this story from Angel Pastor.
Not only farmers are severely affected by the continuous drop in the prices of their produce, but hog raisers are also feeling the impact as the farm gate price of local pork keeps falling. The Department of Agriculture met with various hog raising groups to find solutions to the challenges facing the sector. According to DA spokesperson Arnel de Mesa, the agency and industry groups agreed to set the farm gate price of local pork at 210 pesos per kilogram. This move aims to help the industry recover from mounting financial losses.
Yung farm gate kasi for the last how many years ay bumabayan from 150 to 180 pesos per kilo. So ang cost to produce kasi nasa mga 180 na eh. 170 to 180. So para makarecover sila. So kailangan parang sa ano rin yan, sa palay. Malaki yung binaba ng farm gate para tulungan din sila na makarecover. Yung naset ay floor price para sa pork. Ito yung tinatawag natin dito ay minimum farm gate price of 210 pesos per kilo for live hog.
Although there is no final date yet for the implementation of the directive, authorities assured that it will be enforced before the end of the year. On the part of the Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura or SINAG, the group expressed its support for the agency's move to help the hog industry recover. However, SINAG emphasized that the decline in local pork farm gate prices is mainly due to the continuous influx of imported pork products from last year up to 2025.
As of end August, 27% ang tinaas ng imports. Ibig sabihin, compared sa last year, 27% ang tinaas. Nasa 536 plus million kilos na tayo, no? Almost yun yung total volume last year. Ibig sabihin, talagang sobra-sobra yung pumasok na imports. Malaki na nga yung last year, mas malaki pa ngayon. So, yun talaga ang biggest problem ng industry ngayon.
Once the directive takes effect, retailers of local pork will have no reason to increase prices. According to SINAG, retailers are already earning enough profit from the current pricing of pork byproducts such as pork head and other parts. Based on monitoring by the Department of Agriculture, the price of local pork liempo remains at around 400 pesos per kilogram, while pork pigay is priced at about 345 pesos per kilogram. In comparison, imported pork remains much cheaper, priced at a little over 300 pesos per kilogram for pork liempo and around 250 pesos kilogram for pork pigay. The group is also urging the government to restore the tariff on imported pork to its previous rate of 40% from the current 25% being implemented under Executive Order No. 62. For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
A new kind of roadside attraction is delighting travelers in South Korea, not for its views or souvenirs, but with meals flying through clear air tubes in seconds. Valdivina Gracia has the story.
What started as a simple innovation for faster food service has turned into a feel-good travel attraction in South Korea, where rest stop visitors now marvel at meals flying through transparent air tubes straight to their tables in seconds. South Korea's expressway service areas are drawing curious travelers thanks to a cutting-edge pneumatic tube system that delivers freshly prepared meals in record time, combining the country's famed efficiency with a dose of futuristic fun. At a rest stop in Ansan along the Yeongdong Expressway, diners can witness the system in action. A network of clear tubes crisscrossing above the food court, whisking meals in sealed capsules between floors with a satisfying whoosh. Visitors place their orders through touch-screen kiosks on the ground floor. Upstairs, kitchen staff prepare popular dishes such as kimbap, bento boxes, and drinks before sending them through the air-propelled tubes. Within seconds, the meals arrive downstairs, still warm and perfectly packaged. Initially introduced to shorten waiting times and ensure hygienic service during busy travel seasons, the pneumatic food delivery system has evolved into a unique attraction that showcases South Korea's creative approach to technology, making even a quick roadside meal a memorable experience. Reporting for Newsline World, this is Valdivina Gracia, SMNI News.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says the West's efforts to divide and weaken Russia have failed. The West of waging an information war to undermine national unity and destabilize the Federation. Carla Abellana will give us the details.
President Vladimir Putin accused Western nations of trying to undermine Russia's national unity, saying efforts to divide the country through information warfare and external interference have not succeeded. At the Council for Interethnic Relations meeting in Moscow, Putin said foreign organizations are creating pseudo-national centers to promote what he called the decolonization of Russia, a plan he believes aimed to break up the Federation and strip it of sovereignty.
Делают ставку и на радикальные группировки, то есть на откровенно террористические методы. За пределами России создаются все новые, якобы международные организации, всякие псевдонациональные центры, а на самом деле просто это орудие информационной войны против нас. Выдумали даже особый термин, некая пост-Россия, то есть лишенная суверенитета территория, разорванная на мелкие, подвластные кому-то на Западе осколки. Мы об этом не раз слышали в разных редакциях, вот появляются уже новые, но по сути ничего не меняется. И тем не менее, несмотря на то, что ничего у них не получалось в течение не только десятилетия, а столетия, можно сказать.
He warned that provocations designed to fuel internal discord are being carried out by groups supervised, financed, and directed by foreign intelligence services. Putin urged Russian authorities to act firmly and systematically in countering these external risks, adding that opponents exploit issues such as migration and everyday disputes to incite tension and conflict through radical movements that use terrorist methods. He said similar efforts to weaken his country have persisted for centuries but repeatedly failed.
Идеология агрессивной русофобии направлена против всех народов нашей страны, потому что без русского народа, без русского этноса, без этого фактора нет и не может быть самой России. Поэтому именно вот русофобия в целом, она в центре внимания наших противников. Русская самобытность, традиция, культура, язык, государственно образующий нашего народа, нуждается в самом бережном отношении и защите.
Putin called for Russia's new policy strategy to address such threats and endorsed declaring 2026 as the year of the unity of Russia's peoples. The remarks came a day after Russians celebrated National Unity Day, a holiday Putin described as a symbol of the country's enduring strength and togetherness. For God in my beloved Philippines, Carla Abellana, SMNI News.
For our latest sports update, Premier League sides are on fire in Europe. 5 English teams win big, while the NBA scrambles to defend its integrity amid a gambling probe in Congress. Here's James San Pedro for more details.
Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Newcastle and Tottenham all claimed victories, highlighting England's growing dominance in the UEFA Champions League. Football analyst Guillaume Balaguer believes this marks the start of a new era for English football, with only Bayern Munich and PSG capable of posing serious threats. Arsenal, Bayern and Inter Milan remain unbeaten with perfect 12-point records after 4 matches. Collectively, English sides have tallied 17 wins, 56 goals, and conceded only 17, the strongest overall showing among all nations. Experts point to the Premier League's financial strength as a driving force, with clubs spending over £3 billion this summer, more than the combined total of Europe's other major leagues. According to Opta, Arsenal have a 99.8% chance of advancing to the knockout stage, followed by Manchester City, 97.4%, and Liverpool, 95.5%. Arsenal also lead the title race with a 23.4% chance of lifting the trophy. Current projections suggest a likely England versus Germany final, with Arsenal at 38.8% and Bayern Munich 27.3% seen as the top contenders. Meanwhile, NBA officials met with the U.S. Congressional Committee as part of an ongoing investigation into a sports betting scandal that led to the arrests of several figures, including Miami's Terry Rozier and former Portland coach Chauncey Billups. The briefing was held with staff members of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, while NBA Commissioner Adam Silver was not in attendance. The meeting followed the arrests of 34 individuals, including former NBA player Damon Jones, all placed on administrative leave. Discussions covered the league's partnerships with sports books and how team and game information is safeguarded. Rozier and Jones were linked to insider betting activities, while Billups was allegedly involved in organizing poker games with fixed outcomes. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo De La Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
From a royal return to a royal honor, Meghan Markle steps back into Hollywood, while King Charles knights football icon David Beckham. Here's Stella Maris for more of our showbiz news.
After an 8-year hiatus from acting, Meghan Markle is back on the screen. With a star-studded cast that includes Brie Larson, Lily Collins, Jack Quaid, and Henry Golding, Markle plays herself in the film Close Personal Friends, which is currently being filmed in Pasadena, California. Insiders report Markle was very relaxed and happy on set, mingling effortlessly with cast and crew and clearly embracing the experience after years away from acting. This return contrasts with earlier remarks in which Markle said she was done with the industry after marrying Prince Harry. She reportedly stated to Variety in 2022 that she had no plans to act again, but the current project points to a new phase in her career. While the role may be modest, many view it as a strategic and carefully chosen step back into the industry. She may have chosen to participate because the movie's plot, which centers into a famous couple befriending a non-famous one, is said to reflect elements of Markle and Harry's own life. With this move, Meghan appears to signal that the entertainment world isn't close to her any longer. Whether this cameo will open the door to more character remains to be seen, but for now, the world is watching as the Royal Duchess makes her subtle yet significant return to Hollywood. Meanwhile,
Knight's Bachelor, to receive the honour of knighthood, Sir David Beckham, for services to sport and to charity.
after years of anticipation, Sir David Beckham has been formally knighted by King Charles III in a moment of royal recognition. The 50-year-old former England captain, entrepreneur, and philanthropist was honored in the 2025 King's Birthday Honours list for his outstanding services to sport and charity. Dressed in a classic morning suit, Beckham appeared visibly moved as he knelt before the monarch to receive the accolade, a moment decades in the making for one of Britain's most recognizable figures. Accompanied by his wife, Victoria Beckham, and his children, who proudly watched from the audience, the ceremony marked a full-circle moment for the couple, often dubbed British royalty of the pop culture world. Beckham also took to social media to share his royal milestone, where she thanked his wife, children, as well as his parents. Following the investiture, social media exploded with congratulations from fans, celebrities, and former teammates. Victoria Beckham also shared a heartfelt post on Instagram, where David visited her Atelier family to thank them for making his investiture suit. Beckham's path to knighthood has been subject of headlines for years, where earlier setbacks attributed to public conjecture and administrative reviews. His wide-ranging humanitarian efforts, which included youth sports programs and UNICEF ambassadorships, ultimately cemented his status as one of Britain's most esteemed public figures. With this honor, Sir David Beckham joins the elite ranks of British sporting heroes who've been knighted, a fitting tribute to a man whose influence stretches far beyond the football pitch. This is Stella Marie, your citizen correspondent, bringing you the latest showbuzz.
And before we end, may be inspired with the words of the sun. No matter who you are or whatever your circumstances in life, there are always things to be grateful for. And for our Christmas countdown, only 49 days to go before Christmas. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I am Franco Baranda. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.